Welcome into the Boardroom Podcast. I'm Ward 6 Alderman Ben Piper.
Ward 4 Alderman Chad Wicker.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back, man.
Man, I've been busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest.
Well, welcome
Isn't
back.
that the old saying?
That may be something they
That's
say
a
in
Georgia
Georgia.
saying. I knew you were going to Georgia immediately. I already knew it as soon as I said it.
You got
You
me
gonna
figured
make it?
out, don't you?
Well, sir, we are
Well, how
back.
you been, man? Tell us how you been. Everything going
Man, well, I've been very busy with work, and had a job change, and just getting onboarded and getting learning a new job. It takes a lot of time, but I'm excited about it. I was glad to make the move and do something a little different. So
well? You hadn't missed nothing. Nothing's been going on with the city.
it's been quiet. I think that's fair to say, right? It has been a lot going on. I mean, all joking aside, it's not a funny matter at all, and it's something that just to jump right into it. We talked about this on our March 3rd meeting. That I kind of threw the idea out there of looking at a forensic audit for a utility fund, and with glad I had y'all support. I think you and I and. We're pretty strong on that, wanting to make sure that was done, and that certainly some other aldermen as well wanted to get that done, just based on their comments in the meeting. And the goal of it really is just to get answers for people, right? I mean, sometimes when you do these, more in-depth audits than what the state requires, you may find, hey, here's somewhere that we might be, losing money. Here's somewhere that we need to tighten things up. Or you may find other issues. So it will cost a little bit of money, and we're certainly aware of that. But you could save money in the long run by looking at one of these more in-depth audits. And we've certainly gotten some answers. I think we've gotten public answers for what went on with the utility fund, that things were out of whack in terms of the cost to the customer or the cost to the residents in Hernando. Well, how did that get out of whack exactly? Was it Was it truly inflation? That's the one thing I think that's been thrown out there, is that it was inflation. Things just cost more. Okay, well let's look at it and let's see if that's really the case, and make sure those answers are right, so that we can give people some peace of mind and give ourselves peace of mind as we're going forward, with the budget.
Well, one thing that, since we've had a little, I guess, space or time since this was initially brought up back in January, man, we handled this thing terrible, I think, as far as public relations and putting a statement out. And I'm talking about the city in general. I think, basically the mayor came out at the meeting and said we had a $2.6 million deficit, right?
Which turned out not to be an accurate number.
No, it didn't. But also, when you say that, people think all of a sudden they think money's missing. And so that's what's led to, getting back to your point about the forensic audit, I think that's what got back is, man, there's a bunch of money missing. Somebody stole money. I think we agree that that's probably not the case, but because that's a perception, I think we just have to get an outside independent person to come in and look at those things and say, no, you just mismanaged your books or whatever. Or you had, inflation just ate you up and you didn't address it quick enough, something, whatever the true reason is. And so that's kind of why I think it's very important that we do that.
I think there was one thing that we haven't, and you may have discussed it at some point. People may have discussed it at some point. One of the things that was out there is like one-time costs that were unexpected, and I'm referring to any natural disaster related stuff. The tornado that hit last year on my side of town, the debris pickup, and some of those things that were contracted out. That was one of those unexpected one-time cost things that pops up, and that's why you have a contingency fund. That's why you have a rainy day fund to handle those things. But I think that sort of accelerated the situation that was going on. I do think that the communication has got to be a lot more frequent,
A little tighter.
The communication's got to be a lot more frequent between the mayor and the board, and I'm certainly
He's pledged that to us. So.
And I'm certainly this is something that I think we had talked about as a board in multiple years during the budget process of having a finance committee, and we finally got it done. Probably too little, too late in some respects, but we do have it now. I wish there had been more support for it in previous years, because I know it's something I asked for. And this might have been something we could have potentially caught if we had had more eyes looking at things. Maybe not. I don't know that. But it is something that hindsight's always 20/20, right? And you can go back and look and whatever else. And the goal of this podcast isn't necessarily to point fingers or to do anything like that. Like you've said, the revenue shortfall has been addressed now. And now we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to set things right moving forward. Now, that was a big deal, but it's something we've got to tighten up on, like you said. I mean, the communication's got to be tighter. Our finances have got to be in line, and we've got to find out exactly what went on and who knew what when. But that being said, we'll go back to our March 3rd meeting really quickly. We did have a recognition, really special recognition. And we've been doing a lot of these because these kids in Hernando are just some of the most talented kids in the state, apparently. But the middle school boys soccer team, Coach Mangrum, assistant coach Blair Jeffries, that 11-1 season, won the DeSoto County District Championship. I think we did it for the girls in January. That they were 12-0. The boys went 11-1, so a combined 23-1 record between the 7th and 8th graders. So the future certainly looks bright for that program, for both programs, I guess, going forward. And soccer's been one of those things that has, grown in popularity, and obviously the talent level has risen alongside it. I think you and I both, that first weekend of soccer season was February 28th, and we were blessed to have like 68-degree weather.
That's nice. It was
and
nice.
Man, I bet there was 600, 700 people out there easily.
Yeah, I think we had another record enrollment or registration numbers there, and
we did. We had over 600 kids sign up. It was the most we've ever had sign up, according to our parks director. But just when you have when every field is full and all the parents and grandparents, all those folks are out there, I mean, it's packed out there.
And I think it's a correlation between the success of that program to the success of our high school program. I think you can connect that pretty easily.
I definitely. I mean, you coach, I coach, and volunteer, and so when you're at these games for whether it's middle school or high school or whatever, it's, oh yeah, I remember coaching so and so when they were 6, 7, 8 years old, and now they're doing this, and I firmly believe we have, and one of our guys that helps with training all of our referees and stuff, he told me, he was like, Hernando and Collierville are truly competitive soccer leagues at the recreation level.
Yeah.
He's like, the level of competition is higher than anywhere else in this area. So, certainly if you want to get your kids involved in actual competitive soccer and travel and like do all that stuff, you can, but you can have a very good level of competition just in our recreation league, which is rare, is rare to have. Enough about that. I know I'm sure everybody that tunes in does not want to hear about all the soccer stuff going on. We are, my team's 2-0. So, I mean, I'm
0-2.
The Sharks are off to a good start. We're having some good luck out there so far.
We're going to turn it around this Saturday.
You never know. It's kids. You never know how they're going to, if they might forget to eat breakfast and play terrible, or they might have 4 Pop-Tarts and be bouncing off the walls. You just never know how the kids are going to be. But we also had some updates from some of our department heads, our police chief Shane Ellis, our animal control director Jessica Green, and our court clerk Cassie Perry did some breakdowns for the police department, animal control, and our court department. I would say the big things there, big takeaways from those things is, animal shelter's full, as always, right? She did say that, but they get a ton of volunteers. If you have a high schooler that's looking for volunteer hours, they're always needing somebody to, walk dogs, groom dogs, keep an eye after them, whatever it might be. From the police department side, crime was down. I mean, pretty much across the board. The main thing that seems to drive a lot of those numbers is domestic domestic calls more than
Sure.
anything else.
Sure.
But for the most part, auto burglaries and some of these other things,
Violent crime
we're all
is
down.
pretty low.
We're fortunate to have that.
Yeah, we live in a safe city. There's no question
Situation.
about that. And there's been some recent things that happened. Since we had the incident where I think the guy, I don't know if that was a domestic violence situation, started out in Memphis and ended up at the edge of our city there. Where he, I think, ended up self-inflicted gunshot wound. But
on 55, yeah,
yeah. So we've had that, but overall, Hernando Police Department does a great job.
They're very involved in the community.
Shane didn't bring this, but I get a lot of complaints that they're around too much. There's too many police officers, which I guess is a good problem to have again. So
there are times when I think it was I got in very, very late on Sunday evening / Monday morning, so like after midnight, and I think there was one I got off at 55, and there was one like parked at the Bank Plus right there at the interstate. And I turned the corner, and there was one like at the apartment complex on Mackinvale. So it was like literally they're right beside each other, or whatever else.
So yeah,
I'm glad that they're out there because it is something that if you have however many people on the force, 52, 53, when we're fully staffed, you want to see them out doing things, right? You want to see them out in the community. You want to see them out engaging with folks, and not just on people's worst days, but on their best days too.
Well, a safe city is going to have your police officers being proactive, and that's what they're doing. They're you drive through Hernando with a expired tag, you're probably gonna get pulled over, and that's what you want because that leads to the bigger crimes when you do that and you catch somebody before they go rob the bank, right? And not react like cities like Memphis and bigger cities. Just because there's a lot of crime there, they have to be sober. They're just running from call to call to call. In Hernando, they have the ability to stop at the bank and talk to those people, or stop at the school and talk to those kids, or stop at and play basketball with some kids in the neighborhood. And so we're very fortunate, and that makes a safe community. I think everybody likes that.
And I was trying to think that we have 9 SROs now.
Yes.
So we have one at every school. We have a kind of a supervisor position. But so you have Oak Grove, Hernando Elementary, Hernando Hills, Hernando Intermediate, the middle school, and the high school. So you have 6 schools, and there's 9 officers to cover all those. So people should know that their kids are being watched after. Even at the youngest ages, all the way up through high school. I know that's been one of those things that has really been a point that this board has looked at, is to say, look, like we got to have them. In this day and age, it's just no. Those are your soft spots where the schools are, and having those SROs in place is really important.
I think we need to give a shout out to the Soto County schools, because we wouldn't be able to do that without them. They made a commitment 4 or 5 years ago to have a school resource officer in every school in the county, and they followed up with money, so they subsidize a lot of the salaries there to do that. And so I think the sheriff's department handles a lot of the schools. I think Olive Branch and Hernando still do their own, but that's something that knock on wood, we hadn't had a school shooting or anything like that in our county, but we're certainly prepared if that does occur. So
that's right. We had something on here, MOU between the Mississippi Transportation Commission and the city of Hernando. So what that was is they
redesigned the roundabout at Mackinville.
They're not doing that. They're not doing that. Thank you for bringing that up, though.
Did we ever publicly say that you and Bruce designed that roundabout?
We did not. I did not design that roundabout. Ultimately, I don't know that I voted for it now that I'm thinking about it. I think I voted for it. We really wanted something done at that intersection, and something was done. Well, I don't know why with the clapping. Come on now. It is. I will get the biggest thing with it to me is that you have people that don't use it properly, and that's where the problems come in. If you get in the left lane and you use the roundabout properly, then it's super safe. But what happens is people get in the right lane and they cut back in to go straight or whatever else, and it's unfortunate, but that's people.
Sure,
sure. It would be great if it was a 2-lane, deal, but it's not, and so we just got to deal with what we have, and potentially, I guess, look at expanding it later if the traffic necessitates it. At certain times during the day, it is very heavy right there. traffic's very heavy, and there's other times during the day where there's not a soul on that road. So it just sort of depends. But that being said, all right, MDOT and the city of Hernando, what we're looking at is all the intersections that are on Commerce Street,
Syncing them together.
getting it synced up, getting the lights better synced up. I mentioned as well that, like, can we look at the actual brightness of the lights, because there's certain times of day where it's like the sun. If the sun is sitting behind those lights, they're very hard to see. And maybe I'm just old. But that seems to be a thing. I don't know if they've all been converted to a brighter LED light or, whatever. But the biggest thing is syncing them up. If you're trying to, if you go to Kroger, you can get your groceries. It's sometimes really hard to get out of there. People have noticed it. Hopefully we can get it. Hopefully that will get in better shape. We had a PUD revision in Winningham Estates. Essentially, there's a road that was scheduled to be built in the back of that neighborhood that would connect in with Highway 51. And ultimately that road has been eliminated. There was some commercial property that was expected to be built right on 51, and the road was going to cause some issues with the construction of that. And the road may potentially, I think they were saying it may even like come onto the Nesbitt First Baptist Church property or very close to it. So it just wasn't a good fit anymore. And so that was the revision was made. So that road will just turn into a cove. With homes being built. I think 5 more homes, I think, will get built in the neighborhood. Let's see. Anything on that? You good on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we didn't make that change, it would just sit there undeveloped. I think it was going to be cost prohibitive for the developer to do the requirements that MDOT put on him to build the road. So I think instead of it just sitting there vacant, we're going to have some homes there. So that's kind of where I see that.
The other thing we talked about is and this was more of something that was put into the budget. The Gale Center roof is in bad shape. The HVAC there is ancient. I would say, I think the HVAC units they said was 17, 18 years old. So
you brought it up. Anybody's been to a coach's meeting or something in the Gale Center
it's hot.
And had his sweat dripping off their forehead in the summertime, it gets hot in there.
Well, and then we've had weddings that are receptions, I guess, that have been canceled because it's raining too hard, and the roof's in bad shape, or it's too hot, or whatever it might be. So something had to be done there. We did not want to try to cash flow this project. It's approximately about $730,000, but I think they put about a 10%.
Yes. Hopefully it comes in under budget, but we'll see.
There's like a 10% contingency, I guess, in this $800,000 general obligation note. We did it for 5 years, so that way we could get it paid down really as quickly as possible. And we'll put that in future budget years. We'll have to put that note in there. But what that covers is a roof over the Gale Center, and then the HVAC units to cool that building, in addition to some more modern controls, because the controls in there were, they were just older, and I think now they can be. I don't know if they can be controlled by your phone or something. I think
they can, but there's so much more energy efficient stuff out there now than that thing was probably put in the 70s, probably the original air conditioning system, and I'm sure it's been touched up since then, but not probably not to what it needs to be.
I think I remember the guys, the engineers that looked at the project or whatever, they said that the units were at least 17 or 18 years old. So if that's the case, you're talking about early 2000s. I mean, they're commercial units. They're 10-ton units. So
when the city probably moved over there from when they were given that building or whatever, I can't remember if they were given it or they bought it for a small. They probably put some new air conditioning units on it.
So it needed to be done. It's getting done. That project will start moving forward there.
And we decided to do a 5-year GO bond on that, so we'll have that paid off, and we take it out this year, so it'll be 2031.
Yep, and it'll all be done, but the project will be done before then. We also had we terminated the severe winter weather ice storm emergency declaration. Yes. So those are usually put in place, and then you have to update them every 30 days or so to make sure that you're not just keeping an emergency declaration out there for no reason. We had it out there so that we could coordinate with the county and the response to some of those to the winter weather. We also had some news. I know that we had an executive session. A few things there. Some of these things we can't necessarily discuss because there are personnel issues that we cannot discuss. But there was some news with the city clerk's office. Our current city clerk Pam Powell will be retiring at the end of this month and in the next 20 days. And so I don't think that's news to anyone. If it is, there you go. And taking her place will be our assistant city clerk, Nicole Hilario. And then we hired an assistant city clerk from the city of South Haven, Alicia Ferguson, to kind of move things forward there. Nicole essentially came to the city of Hernando years ago.
She worked with Pam.
She had worked with Pam in South Haven, and she came here with the intent of training to be a city clerk, and worked under Pam, worked with her, and has been training up for this position. If you noticed and you watch our meetings, she started, kind of sitting in for her with this new budget in this new budget year. I think that she's going to do a really good job. I think I talked to her, kind of, one-on-one, just about the job and what what goals she had. She's extremely, professional. She's somebody that I think is going to do a good job for us. And it will be I really hope that kind of going forward, we can leverage technology in a way that we haven't in the past, in terms of, getting packets out to our board members. I think that's something that she's going to be on board with, kind of figuring out, is there a way we can do this without having to waste hundreds of pages of paper every single board meeting? So
email.
Yeah, I think so. But she is committed to, I think, to making that happen for those board members that don't necessarily want a paper packet every week, to potentially save a little cost there. And another thing that we've talked about, I think this is something that we've talked about in our, when we talk about saving money, right? Because that's been something that's been on our mind a lot. Something that we've talked about in the finance committee that hopefully we can implement is paperless billing for water bills. And some people like getting their water bill, and I think that that's something, that people want to get. But if you don't have to have that paper bill, get the paperless billing. You can email. They will email you your bill. You're good to go. You pay it online. It's something that the city spends. I can't remember what the number is.
About $80,000.
$80,000 a year sending out paper water bills and the garbage and sewer bill to folks. So if you're able to do that, absolutely do it. You can do it online. You can do it online, right? cityofhernando.org.
Yeah.
You can enroll in the paperless billing. I will be the first one to admit that I get a paper bill, and I'm going to enroll in the paperless billing. I know, thank you. That deserves a sad trombone. So I'm going to get that done because my insurance guy.
Tell them about it.
My insurance guy told me.
Tell them your idea. I think it's a good idea.
Well, let's see. This is where I got this idea. My insurance guy called me up and he said, "Hey, you're not in paperless billing. Like, why are you, living in 1987?" And I said, "Man, I mean, what do I need to do?" And he's like, "Just send me your email address." And he's like, "You actually get a discount on your home and auto rate if you enroll in paperless billing." Now, the home rate, I forgot to tell you this part. The home rate decreased $200 a year.
Wow.
For being in paperless billing. The auto rate was $50 a year. Well,
okay.
that's real money right there.
Yeah,
$250 just for having your thing emailed to you instead of paper. I was like, man, I should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, we'd give a discount for it, probably for the same reason, right? You're saving paper, you're saving postage, like all this other stuff. So they incentivize the customer by doing that. Why don't we try to do the same thing, right? If you that's something I think that we should at least look into. If you sign up for paperless billing, you get whatever a $5 credit or whatever it might be. I don't know if we can do it. It's something that I want us to explore to see if we could do it.
I know there's some provisions against giving away water, but I think it's something to look at. And
well, what it would be just an overall credit towards whatever flat rate that we have on the bill for essentially saying, look, you're helping the city save money. Well, we'll give you a little bit back. As a one-time thing. I don't know if we can do it. I think it's just something worth exploring and looking into. I'm sure our city attorney and our new city clerk can dive into it and figure it out.
I think it's a great idea, and I think I talked about this on one of the podcasts. Is that we could always require some, if they want to get a paper bill, they can pay the whatever it costs a year to mail that thing out, and get their paper bill in the mail. My mother, she loves her paper bill. She's probably gonna listen to this podcast, and she's gonna be like, I do like my paper bill. I want my paper bill. So she likes that. She tacks it on her little board in her little office area, and so she knows to pay her bill. Anyway, so I'm sure there's some people out there, but spending that kind of money on that in this day and time when there's technology available to do that for nothing, and it may be a cost with bulk emailing when you start getting a lot of people, but I think the BBI offers that for free right now. So
yeah, I think it's something worth looking at, and we can, we'll see if can you legally do it, and then two, what would be the option for doing that?
You can get your bill online and pay your bill online without ever having to come to City Hall. So.
And then it's also one of those things that people who have already done that, would they be owed that same? Right, they've been getting paperless bills for years.
Yeah, I want my money, man.
Hey, I want my $3 or whatever we're able to do.
But if you could turn that $80,000 expense into a $10,000 revenue line, I think would be good. So
yeah, that would be nice to see. Well, all right, so that was it from most of the meeting there. I don't know if there's anything else that we needed to touch on at this point. We are looking for. I think we are going to be advertising for a new public works director.
Yes, that's right.
Denise Harden is going to, step down from that role after about 6 months. I don't think it was something that she just had her reasons for doing that. And I don't want to speak for her in any way, but she will be stepping down once we find a new public works director. So we are in the process of that search. I think it will take a while to find that person.
And I don't think she will be leaving the city, though. I think
she's just stepping down from that role. At this time, I don't think we can really say one way or another what will be next there. But we are. If you're somebody that listens to this podcast and you know someone that potentially where they work for another municipality or they have a career in operations or maintenance or anything where they would be able to. I mean, this is something that. You have to be a very well-organized person. You have to be able to deal with a lot of different kind of folks. You're dealing with residents. You're dealing with employees. It is a difficult job. It's a fairly high-stress job because you can have a water main break that happens at 2 in the morning, or it can happen at 2 p.m. or 6 a.m. or all different kinds. We had one on Getwell Road. I don't know if you knew that or not. We had one on Getwell Road earlier in the week. From a construction project going on out there. They hit a water line out there. Everybody didn't have water.
It's always in your area, man. God.
Well, that's where the hub of activity is. Like you already got everything built.
That's right.
Where all the activity is, that's where you're going to have the issues. So, but you just never. That happened at 6:30 in the morning, and luckily we were able to restore water. I think out there within a couple hours. But it is an inconvenience that comes up. It isn't. Just speaking again of other ideas, to kind of look at, I think this is something we've discussed in the past. I think we really need to look at potentially having a text notification system that I think we've seen these, the county, I think the sheriff's department has it, and they'll send out, hey, I-55 is, blocked, or this road, or, hey, we're doing a cross drain project with the county, and so this piece of the road is going to be closed or whatever else. But for these water outages and some of these other things, letting people know, hey, listen, this is happening. Crews are on site, whatever else. I don't know how expensive it is. That's the only thing that I've ever heard is like, oh, well, it's expensive, but I don't know what the actual number. I don't know what the actual numbers are. So it's something to, for us to consider. I think
we have one in Tate County. DeSoto County has one. Tate County has. The sheriff's department has one. We just started. I think it's pretty inexpensive. I think the problem is having somebody, the man hours of having somebody kind of putting somebody has to be putting the emails out. I think a lot of places the dispatchers do it. So I think that's the piece that we'd have to nail down. But I don't think they're cost prohibitive. I don't think.
Yeah, it's something worth doing because I just think it's something where.
And then I think at some point you get where if you're signed up from the ones from the school and the ones from the sheriff's department, the ones from Hernando and the ones from the state and the ones from the news, it kind of
yeah,
it's too much.
It's a lot. Or if
it is a good way.
Or if you shop a lot,
the Kroger.
I don't get these, but I know my wife talks about it. Like starting in November, her phone will just be buzzing.
Yeah.
It's like get 10% off this, or and you've signed up for some text update on like when you bought something online, and then they just barrage you with all that. Or you have
once your number's in a database, it's in there.
or you have an election, which we didn't talk about that. At a primary yesterday, Cindy Hyde-Smith secured the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate again.
I'll tell you one thing we got to do, Ben. We got to set up a company to do those text messages. I mean, somebody's making a killing sending all those text messages out.
Yeah, clearly.
I bet I got 10 text messages from Cindy Hyde-Smith and probably 5 from her opponent.
And honestly, like, you got all those. And what was the turnout? 10%, right?
Yeah, I think 9.8 is what I saw with everything was finally counted. But
I think it was around 14,000 voters in DeSoto County, and you have 131,000 registered voters.
yeah,
So all that money being spent just to have 14,000 people show up is kind of wild. But
I think they were spending that money because they were worried it'd be even worse.
yeah, and it could have been. I mean, there was people I talked to that had no clue there was an election yesterday. They had no clue there was a primary yesterday. Ultimately she got whatever 82% of the vote, I think, and
it wasn't close.
Her challenger got 16% or whatever. But I would say the other number that's really interesting, not for good or bad or what, we try to be nonpartisan. Obviously, we're both Republicans, but when you look at those numbers, 14,000 or so people, about 7,500 were Republican and 6,500 were on the Democratic ticket. And maybe it was because there weren't a lot of serious challengers on the Republican side, but that those numbers are fairly close. I mean, I think it shows that maybe one party's working a little harder than the other right now, and that's something that needs to be a little bit of a wake up call. If you're a Republican, hey, maybe time for a wake up call there, because if that's what the numbers are come general election, that's a lot tighter of an election than people are used to.
Yeah.
I think when
she won't win 80. She won't win 80 to 15, 85% to 15% in the general election.
I don't think so. Trent Kelly obviously secured the Republican nomination.
He's going to have an opponent.
Cliff Johnson, I think, is his name.
He sued me one time.
Cliff Johnson did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's in charge of MacArthur Center at Ole Miss.
At Ole Miss,
and he's a what do you call it? Victims advocate and criminal justice advocate. And so
Gotcha.
in my role in DeSoto County, he filed some litigation against us one time.
You're a big fan of him, apparently.
He's all right. He's all right. He's doing his job. You got to have those people.
I don't know anything about him. I knew that he was some way tied to Ole Miss, and that was about it. But I don't think Trent Kelly will have an issue with that challenge in come November.
I don't think so. I don't think Sidney Hyde-Smith will either. We'll see. We'll never know. I mean, it is going to be a midterm election year, so usually the party in power doesn't do as well. So.
And then the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate was his name is escaping me right now.
He's a district attorney for what's his name, Collum or something like that.
Yeah, Scott Collum. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
He's somewhere around, I think, like central Mississippi area, district attorney, like north central area over there by Starkville or that area over there.
Okay.
But he's a younger guy, got a lot of energy, so he's I'm sure going to have some money to run him. He's going to have some outside money, so it's going to be as always, interesting election in Mississippi. So
we'll see. 55-45, 60-40, 53-47.
I think it'd be similar to the governor's race.
Okay. All right. There you go. There you have it. That's a long-term prediction there. So I guess if you're into that sort of thing, there you have it.
Go.
All right, Chad. That's all we got for this this time. We've got another meeting coming up later this month, and we'll have some updates from that later on.
Yeah,
but for now, I'm Ben Piper.
I'm Chad Wicker. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.